like do crazy, 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 crazy.
we get to witness
Civil War.
Oh my.
between the two Conduit Esports team, Flux and
Retribution.
joining me today on the play-by-play is
Meta shift.
What is happening?
How are you doing today?
I'm doing amazing. What did I not expect this at all? What is going on? Oh my god.
There's the exciting dynamic that we bring to, liven up the Divinity League here at Titan Esports. And we have a special match today. The two teams are going to be from Conduit Esports. It is Conduit Esports, Retribution, and Flux, both of which coming from their respective brackets, the A bracket and the B bracket, as the underdogs and successfully winning their last match to meet here in the semifinals. What a match! And I'm excited to have you here with me today. Although I do miss my regular partner, so...
Oh. Yeah, no, this match should be electric, right? That would be the low-hanging fruit joke there. We have the two Conduit Esports teams. I guess on the other side, it's just like the Monkeys Supreme are favorited to beat TFF Astronauts. So winner might go on to face the Monkeys Supreme team unless there's a little bit of an upset over there. So I assume both matches are going on tonight, but the one we're covering is going to be, like you said, that Civil War. And yeah, I think it's really cool. It's really cool that Conduit was able to, get two teams into semifinals. That's awesome. Really good for the org. It looks really nice. I don't know any of the players, but I'll learn them as we go. We have a 5-game series on the way, and I believe it is Fearless, right? So
Yes, it will be a 5-series Fearless match. I'm hoping it will not be a repeat of last week. Last week, it was a 5-game series, and my lord, were we exhausted. But I do have to correct you on something, Metashift. It is pronounced Monkeys
Supreme.
You got to make sure you bring that, really put respect on their name there, because they worked very hard as the top seed for their bracket, and they made it to the semifinals as well. We will not be covering that match today, but that's all right. We're going to be covering the team that is likely to be their opponents. And looking at the stat sheets here, I have to say,
Retribution.
it has a very strong lineup consisting of a Platinum 4, Platinum 2, and an Emerald 3. They have one Gold player and a Platinum player, but I think on average, they have the higher rating of the two. I'm curious about how these teams were decided. They come from the same league. Did they separate the teams? Did they have, perhaps some of them might have been some close friends, or perhaps were they organized in such a way to meet ranking requirements? We'll have an interview, I believe, at the end of today's series for the winner of the two teams, and perhaps they can shine some light on that and the inner workings of their dynamics. Anyways, I believe it's time to move on to the draft, is it not?
yes, let's get
Best
it on.
of 5.
Draft 1. I'm ready. I feel like I gotta sit up for this one. Oh yeah, there we go. Much better.
Get the bops going.
Starting off with an Urgot ban.
That's got to be a targeted ban.
It's got to be a targeted ban. Yeah, I don't think Urgot's super OP right now. Lulu, though, very OP. If you're going into a best-of-5 series in Fearless, what's your game plan here, right? Are you banning the one tricks? Are you letting them get their champ game 1 and just dealing with it? How do you really move through the draft, I feel like the bans might just... this is the problem with Fearless in my mind, is the bans could just stay the same for the entire series.
I think there's a strategic dynamic, and I say this as a collegiate coach. One of the things we do in Fearless, it's kind of a dichotomy or a balance between what we don't want to see in game 1 so we can get the momentum from early games, as well as what can we ban so they can't grab it and we can open up later. On my ban 2 or my ban 3, I might ban something that I don't want them to grab that I can't get just yet, like a Victor, if I don't plan to pick him in game 1 on red side. I might leave Victor open for when I'm on blue side on pick 2.
Right.
If there's enough prio picks in a given match or a given meta, you can shuffle and juggle these around and use some of your bans with a strategic pick there.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, it definitely makes sense. And I think the blue side B1 really comes down to it, right? If you can always swap out one of the, CEF, for instance, Conduit Esports Flux, if they want to leave one of those 3 champions that they banned up next game on blue side, they could first pick it, like the Lulu, for instance. And that would change up, the other team's bans. Also, I wonder if these teams, I assume these teams have different coaches. That would be...
I would assume so. Maybe they got the same, and that would be interesting. You can't draft for both and the players themselves. And to be honest, that could explain some of the bans. Some of these bans are just not on my radar. Urgot is a good counter pick into certain matchups, but in and of itself, I don't think it has a threat. Same with Orin, although Orin's popular in some of these lower elo leagues, the gold, the plat, and the emeralds, is a strong blindable top. I know that some of my own players have been very proficient on the champion. He always provides value, so there could be a strategic pick there.
Yeah.
But many of these bans are just not like top meta bans or top meta picks. That said, the draft is completely different. We see the Xin Zhao, we see the Ahri, both of which very strong in this meta. We see a Mumu very strong in this particular demographic. We see Thresh, who is so I think he had some buffs a patch or two ago, and he's been a very prolific champ as of recently. And then Twitch with exceptional carry potential.
Yeah, I'm looking at the screen right now. I don't really see any huge, like, meta bans or picks besides Lulu and maybe Hui, you could argue. Xin Zhao's a good jungler, but it's really weird right now. These teams are definitely going for comfort here in game one. And blinding both your solo laners for Flux is interesting. They're going to get double countered here, but they do get their counter picks at AD carry and support.
You know, Flux had a good choice. Blind, you can blind Ahri. Ahri's one of the most blindable mid laners right now, as well as Talia, and not so much Victor anymore, even though I've been very adamant about how good he is. But it's a strong blind. And what they did here on R3, knowing that they had two bans immediately after, they took the top pick because they didn't want it to be denied or banned out, and then they targeted two top laners, which looked to be Cho'Gath and Gragas. Gragas, I can understand. Cho'Gath, I'm a bit iffy on because I don't understand the matchup. I thought Mordekaiser typically does well into tanks, but Cho'Gath has also been a champion that has been very difficult to deal with, at least in the collegiate scene, and it's caught me by surprise. I had to have other coaches advise me about the strength of that character because I never thought Cho'Gath would be the menace that he is. But here we are. Looking at these drafts, I'm probably going to be rooting for
Retribution.
I love their name. But Thresh is good. Twitch is really good. Lots of late game potential from the Vladimir. A strong front to back composition with click and burst damage. I think it's well rounded. Flux, on the other hand, has a lot of single target damage. And if they can get the tempo early, I believe they will be the ones who could take this game.
Yeah,
what are your thoughts?
I'm gonna have to say I agree with you, but this game's gonna tell me a lot. I don't know anything about these teams. I don't know anything about Divinity. I've been streaming Conqueror and watching Conqueror games. I've played in Vanquisher. I'm a little bit higher up there with what I'm watching versus what we're gonna see tonight. However, from what I know, the lower elo, usually scaling comps are the way to go. So unless, you know, Conduit Esports, Flux are really good at macro and understanding how to play the game and understand tempo and how to win early, then they're going to obviously roll this game. I mean, they have so much strength early where Retribution doesn't. I mean, they have 3 scaling lanes and an Amumu. It's really going to rely on a lot on the Amumu and the Thresh to get them through that early game. But like I said, in this lower elo, I'm going to learn a lot right here in this game number 1. Do these teams know how to end a game, or is Retribution just going to outscale and win at 40 minutes, 35 minutes?
All right. We have a timer on the transition to the game. I think there's not much else that we can really cover on this draft. As you mentioned before, it's going to be really coming down to if Flux can get that early tempo. Can they leverage their early game strengths to facilitate a strong late game? Or is it going to be Retribution that's able to scale in with a very dominant comp? We're going to find the answer to that here real soon. But first, an intermission.
stage. What? Best of one. What? Hello, everyone. We are here with game number 1. We got Conduit Esports Retribution on blue side going here for an invade against Conduit Esports Flux. Both Conduit Esports teams in the semifinals of Divinity League. I am MetaShift, and joining me is Professor Malice. Let's see how this invade goes. Fenbach, you are in some trouble. I'm going to start it off with, I don't even know, they're just going to auto-attack this guy to death. First blood going over to Titan Duff on the Amumu.
Love how they held the CC there. There was no flay, there was no hook. They just sat on it to wait to see what Fenbach was going to do. And then socks to thighs. Love that name. I don't know how I didn't catch that before. Looked like you were trying to get a pick, but you know, 1v1 that early on in the game, there's not much you can do. So the 400 gold is going to go over right to
Retribution.
We'll see how long I can keep that up.
That's your actual voice, right? For sure.
No, MetaShift. This is my actual voice.
You have the range. You should be a you should sing. You should make some music.
There was a time I thought about it. But the only songs we'll be singing today is the song is Victory, as one team triumphs over the other.
Very true. Yeah, we talked about how Titan Esports Divinity League is playing right now. As we go into a split screen, we talked about how one team has the scaling side and the other team has the early game. If Flux on the side has the ability to make a player, we do have Defense out on jungle, and I believe I actually don't remember if jungle is pathing up or if it's pathing down. But Mumu is pathing up. But they are both pathing up. So we could really play outside.
I mean, if both sides are happening upwards, there's not going to be a strong side or weak side. Both sides are going to be a neutral standpoint. It's going to come down to, it's going to come down to a skill difference or a strength difference in determining who wins that early neutral side matchup. And I will say, the composition that Flux drafted should, in theory, aid them in their ability to do this, and who has not spent that early gold advantage that he has yet. This could be an opportunity for Flux to get a revenge able to facilitate play here. It looks to me that perhaps Fenbach is looking to craft away. Maybe he's going to get a rebound to facilitate this game, meaning that Mumu might be looking for the ground or be looking to make a mid lane, assuming that Zhao will go top.
Yeah. I just go box, right? Play safe, we have the scale, but like you said, Fenbach crashing top while Sockside is just now crashing mid. It should be Flux's top scuttle, as both Jojo's are going to walk into it soon. Let's move. It's going to be here first. It's not going to be a recall. I'm wrong.
The strong side is going to go over to Retribution. They are able to not only get the scuttle here, but have the majority players outside of that. But if you go down to the bottom side river, wow, this is coming to get top lane. So go hot on Mundo is able to escape, but not worth taking a substantial chunk of damage. This might set it behind the lane. Fenbach is in control here. They look like they are trying to push and crash that wave.
Yeah, Avatar's just didn't have play. Skittle's already gone on the play. Walk through Skittle Vision, has bottled up, or just gank top. So he's going to go gank top. Miss W. Oh man, I switched told me what he was called. I already forgot, but Miss W on the out and plays kind of over. But you see that CS speed is generated there for Fenbach. So that's good. If he didn't think anything was going to be viable, if he wasn't playing higher there, he would bank 10 take a race and then my mic glitched. Can we hear him? Audio complication. We will try to see stuff. Working on it. All right. I'm distracted. We're now 5 in the game. The score is 1-0. With about 100 gold advantage going into the team for Retribution. We see a team look like a player going over for Fox is in 5, leading with 2 with the last
comes out and socks dies, live their lives another day.
Yeah, I'm listening to the stream both like my phone are messed up. There's an audio problem. What should we do? Can we pause the game? Go to intermission, fix it.